Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Hello again, viewers, and welcome to the program Agriculture on the Move. I am Philip Sidney, your host. Before I really delve into the program for today, I just want to remember two persons who worked in the agricultural field many moons ago, and they are still alive. They worked with me when I was manager of Union Agricultural Station. A lady called Eldika Nicholas. She is from Grand Riviere. She worked at Union many moons ago, and she is 105 years old this week. Really? And she tells me she is still batting, you know, and this lady is a hard worker. She still toils around her home in a little vegetable backyard garden, and she goes to church, and I mean, she made the Facebook page this week, and she is agile. So, happy birthday to you, Eldika, and continue batting. The next person, he was our foreman at Union. He is also my cousin, and that is Joseph Alfred, better known as Bertie, or they call him Nosavan Botti. You know, and of course he is home, but he is still alive and doing very well, and he will be 100 years this week. In fact, it will be celebrated on Sunday. So happy birthday to you, cuz, and I wish you many more. I hope you bat like Eldika and you continue batting all your life, because I know the genes are strong. Let us delve into our program this week. Today's program, it's a program that's very close to my heart. I keep hearing, and years ago, I'm sure you too have been hearing, our food import bill has been very high and keeps soaring. 12 years ago, it was, $355, million. And then it kept soaring and soaring. To date, I think it's about $367 million. And I keep asking myself, why is it soaring? I know we have to import, the basics, the rice, the flour, all other, the corned beefs and all of these things, fine. But when I got the result, it was alarming. The basics that we can grow here, the cabbage, the tomatoes, the lettuce, the sweet pepper, and the list goes on. And you're telling me we're importing, at that time, almost $1 million in cabbage. And it went as far as where we imported up $1.6 million in cabbages. Ridiculous. These are things that we can grow here. I mean, I was in charge of Region 7, and that in millet, all the hills during the rainy season was cabbage. We can grow it. We can do better than this. And I'm very happy that the ministry has taken up this plan. And there's a new project called the Fruit and Vegetable Import Substitution Project. And that project is going to be looking at 7 crops. And to give you all the details, I would like to introduce to you Adeline Udovic. I pronounced the name right this time.
That's
right?
very well.
Who is the project coordinator for this project. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me here.
Great. That's long overdue, as you can see.
I must say.
Okay, and if you look at my backdrop, I'm still trying to figure, hey, we can do the tomatoes, we can do the sweet peppers. Tell us about the project. How was it born? Give us an idea, give us a background.
Well, the genesis is people in the ministry, like persons like yourself, who saw that the importation was very high of certain crops. And these crops we're looking at are crops that the farmers, we consider them traditional crops. Okay. Crops that the farmers have been doing very well, and they know how to do it. So they have all the technical savvy of production of these crops. Yet still, the importation remains high in these crops. As you said, about $5 million for these crops collectively. When I say these crops, I want to outline what the crops are. They are tomatoes, we have bell pepper, we have pineapple, we have watermelon, honeydew cantaloupe, and we also have lettuce. Yes. So these are the crops we're looking at. These are crops that we use every day. These are traditional crops to our setting, but yet still the importation is high. So the problem really is not only the importation, but it's the consistency in supply, right?
Correct.
So this project came about from the high importation, as I said. So the government approached the Taiwanese government, where they agreed to fund that project so that we could reduce on the importation of these crops. So this project as is right now is funded by the Taiwanese government and co-funded by our government of St. Lucia.
So there's a collaboration.
Yes, that's right.
Great.
That's right.
Okay, where is that project now? Because I know it was launched. Before it was launched, there were other training processes in place. Tell us about that.
Okay, the project was officially launched last week, Friday. That's the 25th of October. We had our grand launch for the project. But the project has been in operation for the past 6 months. And during that 6 months, we've done a lot of groundwork. That is why I'm here today to report on so much that we have done so far, and also to say what we plan to do with that project in the near future. So the first thing we did our baseline survey. As I said, we want to reduce the importation of these crops. So we want to know what we have on the ground now, right? How many farmers are involved in these crops? So we took up a lot of information from the farmers. We canvassed the whole country. That's through the extension officers. So they picked up information on the farmers as to the land tenure that they have, the land situation, the demographics, the availability for expansion, their likes, their markets, right? Where they sell, the level of technology, if they have greenhouses, because remember, we're looking at off-season production.
Correct.
So we have to look at what technology is in place.
In light of climate change.
Yes, yes. The climate change is a real issue,
It's a real issue
that the farmers are struggling with and battling with.
Correct.
So we have to put in interventions like the certain technologies. I said greenhouse. Irrigation is a technology that we take for granted, but it helps persons to produce when there is drought or when there's limited water.
Correct.
So that is a next technology we look at to see the assessment of all of these, to see what's happening on the ground. And also the farmers spoke about other issues that they experience, such as predial larceny. We spoke about, yes, that's a real issue, They talk about the labor problem, you know.
Right.
So we have lots of farmers who are engaged in these crops and they are registered right now. And so we know what's on the ground.
Great.
Okay? So that's the first thing we did. The second thing we did during the 6 months was to do extension officer training. All of the extension officers that are with us right now, they were trained in extension methodology, right? So that's the next area that we looked at. We saw that was needed because the extension officers, remember, they are the foot soldiers, right? So they are the arms and legs, basically, of this project, right? So we can't do it without the extension officers.
That's right.
So in order for us to make sure that everybody is on the same page, we had the training for extension to build the capacity to deliver such an important project.
Beautiful.
We also had recently, we had training for the farmers, right? We had farmer training because each time, like in any sector, we have entrance of new persons. And we see that there's a great disparity between the persons who are trained vis-a-vis those who are untrained. And that's kudos to the ministry, right? Because from all the areas we went to, they're saying that they see a difference in the produce from the persons who are trained. So we embarked on a training and we just did some graduation just recently up to yesterday. And last week we did some graduation. We trained, our target was 100 farmers, but we trained 121 farmers this round.
Wow.
We also did something that's very, very interesting, and then we needed that for a long time in St. Lucia.
Hold that point, because we do for our first break.
All right.
You're watching Agriculture on the Move. Stay tuned. We have a lot more to discuss. Back soon.
Everyone is at risk for getting a foodborne illness. While most foodborne illness cases are mild and go unreported, long-term health complications and even death can occur from a foodborne illness. Foodborne illnesses are caused by contamination of food at any stage of preparation. If you are a food handler involved in home-based food production, meat, fish, chicken, or a bake shop, as a food vendor, how you prepare food can put your customers at risk. Do you know the risks and how to avoid them? The St. Lucia Bureau of Standards can help you.
For more information, contact the St. Lucia Bureau of Standards at 456-0546 or email slbs@candw.lc or visit the website at www.slbs.org.lc. St. Lucia Bureau of Standards, making quality and standards our way of life.
Welcome back to the program, Agriculture on the Move. As you are aware, we're discussing the fruit and vegetable import substitution project, and of course with me is Adeline Idofeko, who is the project coordinator. Adeline, we spoke about all the prerequisites for getting into the project, and one of the things that I believe that's very, very important, we talk about quality, the quality of produce that is from the farmer's field then to the market. But prior to getting to the market, there's certain things that has to be done. It has to be properly packaged. And I was told that there's a packing house. Tell us about that pack house.
Okay. So under this project, we saw that there's a need to meet different markets, right? So meet the markets at what they want,
Correct.
right? So packaging is a requirement. So we have to do sorting, we have to do grading, and all that. Before we do all that, we have to do selection, right? To meet the specific needs of the markets. Certain crops are required in a certain way. Certain packaging, certain presentation.
And the sizes
and the grading.
Uniformity.
Yes, that's right. So a pack house is needed in our context. The same way we have the banana sheds operating as an individual pack house on the banana farms, we'll have a pack house where the marketing entity, the new marketing entity, will have access to, where it will be a standardized pack house up to HACCP certification, food and safety measures will be considered in the building of this pack house. And this pack house will be finished. Construction will be finished by the end of this year, this calendar year.
And that pack house will fall under the management of the Central Marketing Board.
That's right.
Beautiful.
That's right.
So the farmers will be sent to the marketing board. And then they will do all the grading and selection. And then depending on the specifications for the hotels, then they will pack according to.
Yes, that's right. That's the expectation.
All right.
So the marketing board will be the central hub for all of these produce that we're looking at, where the farmers could channel it through, and they'll be packed, sort through the pack house, and then redistributed.
And then what is important here, before even that is important, but in order to get to that point, you're talking about the question of production scheduling.
That's right.
Okay, how are you going to select the, I know you've selected the farmers already, but then are the farmers selected based on ecological zones where those crops can be grown well? How is that formula?
Okay, we're looking at ecological zones for sure, right? That's a main area that we are focusing on, because we know certain areas the crops perform better than other areas.
Correct.
We know that also they have traditional areas, like we know Babono, we have all the lettuces, right? So we know that they have certain areas, certain zones, the farmers have traditionally grown these crops, and also the microclimate avails itself better, right? So we're doing the selection based on that. And also, through that whole pack house and the whole technology, when we come to increase production, we talk about production scheduling. That's something that's important. That's very, very critical to the success of this project.
It is.
Or any other project of that nature.
And the farmers have to follow that, eh?
Yes.
Because if they don't follow it, you know what's happening, eh? It's going to fail.
Yes.
So how are you going to ensure
but
that
we have
works?
started. We have started. And that's the good news. That's what we've been doing.
Right.
We look at the local data, the local consumption patterns, right? We look at the local import patterns as well. We look at the hotel season, when it's hotel peak season, right? We look also at the different festivals, like we had Junior Creole just passing. We have Christmas coming up. When we have Good Friday, we know people want more fresh vegetables and so on for the Lent season and so on. So we have to focus and target these specific periods, right? So with that, we also looked at the climatic data. We spoke about climate change a while ago. So we look at a compilation of 5 years, the climatic conditions for 5 years. And from that, we have crunched the numbers, we have done a lot of work, and we could tell the farmers, or we could tell the population, right, the farming population, what we need when, right? And then we work backwards with that information to say how much acreage of a certain crop, and we could tell the farmers, okay, you plant 1/4 acre of tomatoes, you do it next week, you do it that week, and we have the proper scheduling plan. It will not be 100% perfect.
But the beginning, you need to start somewhere.
We'll start somewhere, yes. At least so you won't have all of these gluts on the market, right? And scarcity, right, to affect the prices so much.
So the crop monitoring has to be key.
Yes. That's the next area I have to mention. That for most of the crops, they have the 3-month cycle, except for the lettuce and the cabbage, which is a little bit less, right? So we've done 2 crop monitoring surveys so far for the past 6 months, where the officers will go out in the field to see what is on the ground. at that specific time.
Right.
And that will help direct information for imports, right? So make sure that we won't import if we have
on ground.
Yes, so that information
you have
is
a glut
very
on your
important.
hands.
Yes, but farmers have to play their role too.
They have to.
They have to report. They have to work with the extension office and say what they have at any one point. Not just when they think of doing it, but before.
Yeah, because
so they could be part of that.
Yeah, because there
plan.
has to be what they call a symbiotic relationship between the farmer and the officer.
Yes, that's right.
And it has to be regular because things can change. Because I mean, last week, okay, the crop is growing well, and maybe this week, overnight, something hit it. So you need to know.
Yes.
So what you expect has changed.
Yeah.
That information is critical.
It has to be updated.
Yes, it has to be updated.
And as you mentioned, that you remind me of something else that's the next critical output for this project. We're looking at an ARS system. We're talking about a system that will allow us to filter that information, where somebody could look at it, right? The officer put the information, the monitor information in, where, when you say ARS, I should explain.
Yes, explain, yes.
Yes, it's an agricultural resource system, where it's an intelligent way through the computerized system of finding out what is happening on the ground, right? So everything is monitored and is input into that system, where somebody who have that kind of predisposition or training could tell us what is happening, give a snapshot of what's happening now. And the markets could look and see what's available. The farmers could put in what they have and so on the ground at any time. So that's the next output,
step.
Of this project.
Okay.
We also have a next area that I need to mention. We have some new technology that we're bringing in, in terms of the greenhouse technology. It will not be the same greenhouse that what we're accustomed to. It will be what we call a hoop. We call it hoop. A hoop greenhouse. It's a shorter greenhouse. As it unfolds, we have to validate it in our context. But as it unfolds, we will say more about it. We'll have farmer field schools around it, where farmers would come in and see what's happening. And we just embarking on validation of that technology. Up to yesterday, we got the last shipments.
Beautiful. But in the validation and looking at the agronomic practices of those crops, you're looking at everything, pest management.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
You're talking about the question of land preparation. These activities, are they going to be present on a timely basis for the farmer, especially land preparation?
Okay. Well, that's a very good question, because I want to assure everybody that the ministry is working as one, right? All the different units, from engineering to research to propagation to extension to communications. We are all here together, right? We have IT. We have all these different departments working together to ensure that everything is done in a timely manner. We, as anything, we will have some hiccups, but then we are trying our best to work together, and everybody know their role and the expectations of them.
Good.
Yes.
In terms of the team, I know you have a Taiwanese team put together, a management team.
Yes.
What are the functions vis-a-vis the extension officer?
Okay. Okay, so we do have a lot of specialists, let's say, from Taiwan. We have two persons in the name of Eileen Cheng and Eric Cheng, right? These persons, they're here in the capacity of marketing specialists, and the other one is here production specialist.
Okay.
So they'll be lending support to extension, so that when they go out, they'll have that extra information, extra personnel, right? So that they could have a bigger impact and effect on the farmers when they go out. Right. So we do have a head of a mission who is Mario, right? He's the head of the Taiwanese Technical Commission down here. So we have Eileen, as I said, and we do have some specialists. We have a marketing specialist, that's Paulina Albert, and we have a production specialist, that's Edward Wilson. So, and we also have Kima Prophet, who's working on this project directly, along with the different extension officers and the different units.
Okay. How, in terms of evaluation of the project on a continuous basis, that's crucial. How is that happening? Before you answer the question, we'll do for another break. Stay tuned, we'll be back soon.
What's in the food you're eating? Do you really even know? All the chemicals and hormones used to accelerate their growth. All the artificial flavoring, sweeteners and colors too. We consume and we don't spare a thought for the damage that they'll do. No, think about the children. Think about the children. How will we save them? Chemicals and GMOs are not the solution. Use organic and join. Good food revolution. Excessive agrochemical use, additives, and genetically modified foods are harmful to health and the environment. Join the good food revolution. Grow, buy, and consume organic. A message from Rise St. Lucia and the Ministry of Sustainable Development with funding from the GEF Small Grants Program, UNDP.
The Good Food Revolution.
Welcome back. Adeline, I know there's a committee for that project, okay? And together with your technical team, I'm sure there have to be a monitoring system and evaluation as we go around to ensure that we're on target, we're on point. How is that going to work?
Okay, so we have put in place a steering/technical committee. Remember the same heads I was talking about a while ago, propagation,
Right.
engineering, extension. So we all communication as well. We come together monthly,
Right.
along with the PS and sometimes the minister and the different high-ups in the ministry, where we do a rapid evaluation of what we have achieved so far and what we plan to do. So we have a discussion, we share ideas, and from that we go out and we regroup.
Okay.
And yeah.
What's the duration of the project?
The project is set for 3 years.
For 3 years?
Yes, we're looking at the end of 2021.
Okay, and what impact in terms of dent you want to create as far as importation is concerned?
Well, overall, we want to reduce the importation of these 7 crops I mentioned by 30%.
Okay,
Right? So we
beautiful.
know we can do more,
Right.
but we're trying to be realistic,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So we have it in a staggered way where we expect to do 5% in the first year, 25 and so on. So in the end of the 3-year period, we want to reduce it by the $5 million we spoke about by 30%.
Great. Our tagline in the ministry is Eat Fresh St.
St.
Lucia's
Lucia's
best. Now that goes along with traceability, what the farmer use. In fact, I'm sure you're trying our best to use less the chemicals that we use. They are not supposed to be harsh chemicals. We're supposed to use friendly chemicals, as we may say, all right, organic chemicals. In terms of traceability for our local, is there anything in place to tell St. Lucia, hey, our produce is safe?
That's a concern that the consumers have, and naturally, and I agree to that concern. So because of that expectation, we have to eat wholesome, healthy food, right? We have put in place in that pack house where we could do a rapid test of the produce coming in. So that will be the first intervention to make sure that these commodities coming in, that they're safe. So we'll do a rapid test, and if in case, we're hoping not, but if in case we find anything, it will go up to the diagnostic facility for further testing, right? So that is something that we have instituted in this project where we do tests of the produce coming in, so that we will let the customers know with certainty that this crop is safe for human consumption. And also that comes along with our training. We also train the farmers on how to use the last training we just had, and those will continue to have. We'll have pesticide use and safety, right, in these training, and also good agriculture practice where the farmers will know the right from wrong and practice the right from wrong.
In other words, Adeline, moving forward, the agriculture systems we knew before, that has changed.
Very much.
It has changed because of market demands. It has also changed because of climate change. So the farmers now have to redirect
Yes.
and reshape them, and that's where the training...
The training comes in. Like anything else in any sector, you have to keep updated and abreast with the changing technology, the changing information, and that's what we're trying to make sure the farmers are on par with the changing world that we're living in.
Yes, as it is.
But we've done a lot of visits. I know you mentioned about the hotels earlier, and the different markets that we have.
Correct.
We've done a lot of hotel visits.
Right.
And in these visits, we're picking up specific information on each crop.
Right.
What are the problems with the crops? What are the consumption patterns, right? When they need it, and what farmers that they deal with. If it's a cooperative, it's an individual farmer. We pick up lots of market intelligence from the hotels, from the different massy stores and supermarkets, and also from the different wholesale places. So we've done lots of underground work as we speak right now to ensure that this project runs smoothly.
What you got from the hotels and other supermarkets, is it consistency in production? Is it a problem?
Everywhere we go, is consistency is the main problem, right? That's the main one, consistency. Because the good news is that from what we're seeing so far, that the chefs, they want local. They want the local produce. You say they want local. That is their preference over imported.
Right.
So that is already a major strong point for us, that the demand is already there. But it's we that have to encourage the farmers to produce in a timely manner to meet that demand. So consistency is the biggest issue with the hotels. And I think that's the main problem that we've been getting across the board.
And that is what you're trying to put in
Yes,
place.
yes.
The consistency
Yes,
in production, the production scheduling, and to ensure the farmers can. But I will tell you, I mean, I know the project can work, but it is a lot of work to be done there.
Yes, yes.
Because it's a question of changing the farmer's mindset. And but the good news is that once the farmer can sell, he will produce.
That's right, that's right. Because after all, they're business persons. And that
Agriculture
is
a
what
business.
Agriculture is a business.
Yeah.
And you have to have the farmers understand that it is a business,
Yes.
right?
And it's not konlakutim. In other words, you can't wake up this morning and say, okay, I'm going to plant tomatoes.
That's right.
It's not Vaikiva. That has changed. Because if you plant Vaikiva, you cannot market.
That's right.
But
they say if you fail to plan, then you plan
to
to fail.
Yes.
So that one
yes,
is a good understanding of what we're trying to
Definitely.
do. Have the farmers plan properly what they're going to do.
You also mentioned about the weather station.
Oh yes. We have installed a weather station. Because remember, as you said earlier, the climate is changing. So we have to keep on monitoring what's happening in our environment. So that if anything has changed, we can inform the farmers on the spot.
Right.
Okay, you have to uncover your greenhouse.
The greenhouse because there's a storm coming.
The storm is coming and so on. So we have a radio station where we doing a small radius. It's being on a trial basis right now. And that information is feeding into our own system at the ministry.
Good. In terms of inputs for the farmers, because that depends on the success of the project. How timely is our inputs available in terms of fertilizer, chemicals, and all these things?
Okay, that one we know that's a must for any project of that magnitude. So we've had certain shipments so far, especially of the different infrastructure materials and so on. We have some ground cover, we have some fertilizer. Even from the other projects that are within the ministry, we're trying to see how we could collaborate so that one project could assist the other, right? Because it's one ministry after all. So like the Moroccan soil project, where we have the fertilizer, we will ensure that some of this fertilizer is used for these farmers under this project. So different chemicals and different inputs. For this year, 2019, it will be on a validation and trial for the greenhouses. Outside of that, anything we have, it will not be given to the farmer because we want to get out of the
this Bemba syndrome.
We don't want to encourage and carry on with that dependency syndrome.
You have to stop that.
What we want to do is to heavily subsidize it for the farmers, right? So yes, they will be getting inputs for these crops, different chemicals, seeds in some cases. We have started some distribution of seeds, and then the farmers will be getting the necessary inputs.
Great. There's another. But the two areas that of concern, you mentioned pre-larceny.
Yes.
And I think the ministry has to beef up that. And labor is the other one.
Yes, labor is the other one.
How you all looked at it?
Yes, we have been looking at it, and we have to speak to the unit further and speak to the ministry in our different committees and so on to see what we could do about it, right? Because we don't have the answer for everything, right? Because it's not anybody standing alone. We have to pull our heads together to see what we could do about that pre-larceny issue and also about that labor issue, farm labor issue. Yes.
I was about to end. Any final words from you? Because I hope you know you have the responsibility on your back is broad, is broad, Adeline. And you really, you have to ensure that you cross your T's and you dot your I's. So what are your final words to the farming community and also to the consumer? Okay.
To the consumer, I'll say first, eat fresh and luscious best.
Definitely.
Right? Go for what's local, go for what's fresh. When you see LP, local produce,
just buy it.
Just buy it, right? Support your farmers. It's supporting our own economy. The money stays here. It generates employment. It's used for in our economy,
that's
right?
That's right.
And it is fresh. As I said earlier, we could trace it. Yes, your health is concerned. We have due diligence. We have testing. We have all these things coming in place right now. And also for the farming population, speak to your extension officers. Don't think you could do it on your own.
That's right.
We are here to to help. The ministry is here, and that is what we are here for.
Well said, sir, madam. I said sir, but I give you both of them. Because the road ahead is rough.
Yes, it's good.
According to Mr. George, take cystic tablets. You've been watching Agriculture on the Move. People, remember, agriculture is our business, and eat fresh. St. Lucia's best. The money stays here. We have 3 years to create a dent, a 30% dent in our food import bill. Let's do it together. We can't do it alone. Thank you for viewing. I'm Philip Sidney. Goodbye.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.